is a catalyst for change. The visionary who scaled an iconic brand across India. As the former CEO of Jubilant Foodworks, he drove the massive growth of Domino's to become one of the country's largest retail chains. Now, as a founder director of IQWAT, he applies the same vision to unite the global Kashmiri Pandit community, building a platform for enduring legacy and enterprise. Please welcome the corporate growth maestro, Mr. Ajay Kaul.
Be here with us. The day has come, the moment has arrived, and the stage is all yours.
If some of you are thinking that, is this guy gone speechless or is he kind of dumbfounded? You know, as the founder of IQWAT, if I look back, akin to a dream come true moment for me. While the vision of IQWAT is far bigger, and I'll speak about that in a moment, but putting an event like this together is at some stage we had dreamt, and you know, I'm overwhelmed that it's happening. But before we proceed any further, I want to welcome all of you from the bottom of my heart. You know, luminaries have come from various parts of the world. From America, some people have come. From Dubai, people landed up today morning. From Bangalore, Bombay, and so on. So I'm really, you know, we as an IQWAT team are kind of overwhelmed that we are getting this kind of support. And thank you very much, Mara. Because kushishes ki thoda intersperse karb kashirte. If there are some people who struggle in Kashmiri, they're bad luck. You should have learned the language. You should go back to your parents and ask them why they didn't teach you the language. Or maybe this is the time for you to start learning the language. So let's go to IQWAT. So where did IQWAT all start from? Some of you probably are aware of our journey. I was on a flight from Singapore to Tokyo, 2018, and there was this full-page ad in Straits Times. Facebook was making a claim that they had become the largest country in the world, 2 billion citizens they had. So to my humble mind, I thought, we should now the large maximum Kashmiri Pandit, and we don't have a land of our own. Why can't we create a microcosm, you know, some sort of a virtual, a surrogate to a motherland, which can become like a melting pot for our culture, rituals, what we belong to, and so on and so forth. So I was almost remembering at that time, I recall, I was born in Srinagar, but my dad, you know, he got a job with the Steel Authority in Rourkela. So we used to travel every year, like many people in the room, to Kashmir. It used to be for me like an immersion. It was a place where I got, you know, exposed to my cousins, my uncles and aunts, the Thet Kashmiri, which sometimes my Nanaji would kind of yell at me and call me and pardon my, hey Bablia, hey Modana Kurtha Jitpoit. Look, we Kashmiris sometimes have a bit more affinity towards the digestive tract, you know, at both ends. You know, what we eat, Rogan Josh, Damalu and all that, and surprisingly for what comes out at the other end also. But those were the moments, you know, going to Tulmul, going all sorts of things. So I was almost kind of visualizing, and the interesting part was when I would come back, even as a kid, as a young man, I would be recharged, you know, refreshed, raring to go. So I was imagining, with my limited, you know, vision, a system where people would go and come out energized, you know, simplistically put. You may think it was like a hyperbole, it was a big vision, or a big dream, but net, that was it. So we embarked on this journey. I had a couple of co-founders who unfortunately still support us, but they had to move out for whatever reasons. So we started talking to a lot of Kashmiri Pandits before we said, what should we create? And lo and behold, you know, what we realized while talking to dozens and hundreds of Kashmiri Pandits in the world, across demographics, you know, in US, wherever, in Kashmir, that our language was getting lost and people were not liking it. You know, fading heritage, legacy was kind of getting, you know, eroded somehow. Traditions were getting lost. Cuisines bought, you know, basically, while a lot of good things may have happened, and result of that is sitting in the room today, people at some great positions have done outstanding in the business world, but we were losing all these things and people were lamenting all that. And this was affecting people even at a individual and at a community level. And how was that? At a community level, there was the cultural continuity was being broken. And look, a lot of things which I say today is no new things. You have heard this before. But I'm only trying to build a bridge. What led A led to B led to C, and where are we today? Cultural continuity, connectedness was getting lost. We are doing individually very well in our own islands, but we are losing the connectedness with the rest of the Kashmiri community. There is no organized representation of Kashmiri community anywhere. We have so many factions, and I don't want to go into the politics of it, whatever may be the reasons, but that's the reality. Heritage prevention is a big one. Engagement of the youth. People of my age or even a little younger, they would still believe that they had a bridge to Kashmir for whatever reasons. Some of them had stayed there. Some of people like me used to go every year. So there was a bond. But the 30, 35-year-old, what about him? What about the 20-year-old? So how do you engage the youth? Because they are the future of the Kashmiri Pandit community and not people like me. And of course, community economy and so on and so forth. At an individual level, what is the KP, what the KP was missing is belongingness and identity. Now, this is a question which you don't ask when you're a 20-year-old, 25-year-old, because you're more engrossed with your career. But the classic Maslow, approach, only when you take care of your basic things is when you start thinking about, hey, buku sochus, bekash wajud, who do I belong to, and so on and so forth. Career, which becomes a key driver for you when you are in those age groups. Healthcare support, opportunities for a life partner. This is like a big one. Often when you kind of meet people, the struggle is, and this is probably true even for the 30, 35-year-olds or the 25-year-olds, that how do I find a KP partner? And family bonding. So plethora of challenges which the community was seeing, we were looking at to address all this. But as a result of, all this was happening, I used to always ask a question to, in whichever focus group discussion or individually when I would meet people, would ask, are you proud of being a Kashmiri Pandit? And the answer used to be a resounding yes. Answer, yes, we are proud. The sequel was, why are you proud of being a Kashmiri Pandit? And that's where the struggle would start. Hardly anybody I recall would remember that this community, whether Prain or Naib Kashir, has given 2 prime ministers to this country. There was a time when the whole bureaucracy, and this is all recent, 30, 40, 50 years, half the bureaucracy used to be Kashmiri Pandits. Half the legal benches in the government used to be Kashmiri Pandits. More recently, Kashmiri Pandits are at the top echelons of the business world, and that's why we are here today. People didn't remember. It would boil down to a Damalu and a Rogan Josh and stuff like that. I'm not even going into Shaivism and roots of where all this started, Shankaracharya and so on and so forth. Because should I say, awareness was as shallow as it could get. So the pride of being a Kashmiri Pandit was getting diluted, and permit me to say, it may sound like one very strong statement, paths towards extinction, permit me to use that term, we were accelerating towards that. One of my nephews is sitting in the room, who's a bit analytical, and so am I. Although my mom and my wife would say that she but this one kyom, we did some analysis, and hopefully the model wasn't wrong, but it may have some errors there. But 2089 was our assessment through that model, when the last Kashmiri Pandit marriage will happen, where both the bride and the groom, both of their parents would be Kashmiri Pandits. Post that, their parents one of them would not be a non. So, in other words, what I'm saying is, even if this model was flawed, add another 10 years to that. By turn of this century, 2100, 1st January, you would know that you're falling down the cliff in terms of your culture and you're heading towards your extinction. You may argue that Prain Kashiri they have done a wonderful job, and all the so-called Kashmiri Pandits in the room who migrated out of Kashmir probably 50, 70, 80, 90, 100 years back, I think they've done a wonderful job to protect the culture and heritage and whatever we are, while we have lost our language. But look, in this day and age, globalized, internationalized, scattered all over the world, there is no way in hell that we are not falling down the cliff unless somebody comes in and intervenes. And that's what IQWAT with its in all humility and wanted to achieve. So what was simplistically IQWAT? IQWAT is a mix of offline, online, platform, call it ecosystems, whatever, which aspires to be a melting pot of our culture, rituals, history, and envisages to preserve our identity and resuscitate the pride, most importantly, back of being a Kashmiri Pandit as a community as well as at the individual level. Simplistically put, while very daunting and difficult to achieve, but nonetheless, this was where simplistically the thought was. So how did it kind of translate into what our vision was. IQWAT envisions a thriving Kashmiri Pandit community rooted in heritage, united by purpose, and I'll talk about that in a moment, and driven by growth. Growth more because youth are involved. The belly of our community today is this youth. If we don't address this group and we address oldies like me, who have the tsuk and who have the, call it the verve to kind of do something for the community, but if it doesn't shake the 35-year-old and the 30-year-old, we are heading toward no place. So we have to find ways by which the community grows, individuals grow, and so on and so forth. By nurturing the personal and professional journeys of every individual, if we can affect, and look, we are not millions and millions of people, we are just about 8-10 lakhs, and we create a ripple effect that protects, preserves, and promotes our shared cultural legacy. Together, wherever, forever. May sound grandiose, may seem out of reach, may sound hyperbolic, but look, dreams are always meant to be like that. With our limited access to resources, minds, and so on, we embarked on this journey, and बोलते ना कारवां चलता गया और साथ-साथ लोग जुड़ते चले गए. Lot of people, working pro bono with the sole purpose of hopefully getting to the destination one day. But one thing which we always told ourselves is that we have to enjoy this journey. So whether it was putting this event together, and I'll talk about it again in a moment, or whatever we have done so far, we are enjoying this journey. Every day spent frugally and seeing, kind of travails and tribulations of kind of taking such a thing forward while you are a not-for-profit and you don't have access to unlimited funds. We did the journey, but before I tell you how the journey has been so far, there are some guiding principles, and I think people in the room should understand this, and I will spend a moment or two extra on this slide. IQWAT is clearly for KPs, by KPs, of KPs. Some of you in the room may think that it is constraining. Look, maybe, and I'm not denying it, but the issue is also of KPs only. We are addressing challenge of Kashmiri Pandit community, whether it's Praveen Kashir, Naiv Kashir, whatever. By KPs, we are seeing a bit of a dilution on that because a lot of non-Kashmiri people are coming forward to help us. And that is a great welcome thing because people are probably realizing that this community needs help, they need support and so on. So it's clearly for KPs, by KPs, of KPs. We have zero political agenda. The moment we realize that somebody is talking to us for any political reasons, we are not into this game. We are out of this. This is something which takes time. And during the course of some of the sessions today, you will realize that how some of this petty politics, and I'll be pretty blunt today, and its time has come for us to realize some of these aspects of our leadership, including people like me, which used to make us a bit skeptic, cynical about certain things, or always, most of the time, thinking that there is some hidden agenda behind. Even when we started IQWAT, there were people who were skeptic. Hey, kim sach? Hey, kya sachim konan? Hey, surmach? Hey, imaj? Look, the classic approach which you hear. We have zero political agenda. Even if we become big tomorrow, even if we are successful, we can easily metamorphose ourselves and become like the front for political agendas. We will not be that. We are ruthlessly apolitical internally. I am the eldest member of the team. Most of the team is in their 30s and 40s. We work seamlessly. There is zero politics. If there is anybody bringing in politics, we just kill it at the grassroots level. We are as transparent as it can be. So that's our value, that's our belief and guiding principles. Now the next point is very, very crucial for everybody in the room. We are here to collaborate. We are here to collaborate. I've seen over these last 5-6 years some outstanding is the word. I was telling it to even Arvind Tikuji a little while back. Outstanding work being done for the community. Social, sometimes, in the space of rehab, sometimes in the space of jobs, straddling across plethora of, call it vectors. Some great work is happening. The question is, for a community of only 10 lakh people, why doesn't it surface and kind of emerge and engulf the whole community? The only reason is, apart from maybe a bit of politics that may be happening or cynicism, is because they have not been able to scale up. They have not been able to take their voices, maybe because of sometimes lack of money also, I must agree, because people have been putting in money from their own pockets, including IQWAT. We are here to collaborate. If you have a great idea, and I know some great work is happening, and I was talking to one of the persons, a little while back outside, if you are the best person in networking, and networking is the key for success, especially when it comes to these 30, 40-year-olds. You drive the networking initiative. We don't have to even call it IQWAT initiative and all that, but let it happen. Let all these, the aggregate, the sum of the parts will always be less than the whole. We need to create a wholesome approach which will be greater than the sum of the parts, and hopefully it will engulf, if not all 8-10 lakhs, but even if it gets to 4, 5, 6 lakh people, I think the momentum will kind of carry us forward. And of course, on a global level, we are here for no personal fame or gains. We have lived our corporate lives in our humble ways. We achieved whatever we had to. We are here solely, I'm still at a life stage where I've passed my prime, let's say, but there are 40-year-olds in our team, the 35-year-olds. Aditya is 38-year-old. I'm sorry I let your age off, but he's got a startup of his own, 2 startups. That startup needs him, but he slept at 4 o'clock last night. Come on, that is the kind of pro bono work people are doing. So time for lip talk is all over. Wonderful. The lip talk time is over. There is enough gyan which, we have. We are learned people. And I'm not trying to be kind of skeptic and, very razor sharp here. I'm being genuine. ज्ञान का टाइम हो चुका. अब जो अच्छा कोई काम कर रहा है उसमें फ्लॉज भी होंगे. वो ट्रस्ट अगर है उसके पीछे लगना है. We have to just get after them. We अश्वतिमन पद लगुन, support करुन. I'm not necessarily talking of financial support, but even physical support sometimes. But little gyan, more action. And Sandeep at some stage will talk about it. No personal fame or gain. We are a not-for-profit organization. We did it with purpose. We did it with a design. And we will stick to that. Hopefully, if we have 2, 3, 4 lakh people tomorrow on our app in this ecosystem, we will be able to monetize it. And there are ways of doing it. And, a lot of people in the room would have the wisdom. I know a few ways in which we can do it. Then it can become self-sustaining also. Key point, now we are all outside the valley. There is no pro in kosher and no kosher. There used to be a divide, classic Kashmiri way. The old Kashmiris thought that we have done all the good work. They are the people who left the valley, so what the hell? We are the more loyal guys, not them. Yeah, whatever may have been the past, we should not care. Now we are all in the open field. The old Kashmiris have done a great job. They have held positions of responsibility, at places which I can't even say. For a community of our size, disproportionate contribution for any community, to this country. From the A.N. Haksars and the Jagat Narayan Saprus to the Gurtus to Jawaharlal Nehru's, the list is endless. So we have to now be inclusive. We have to all work together. And finally, because we are dispersed all over the world, we need to have a global outlook. The journey so far has been, IQWAT app was launched. We had 10,000 members, not a great number. We wanted 20, 30, 40. It didn't happen. Okay. It's again like one of those things which didn't reach a number, couldn't scale up so well. But it started with a bang. We did some talent hunts. We got some fantastic responses. We had 3 seasons there. We started with IQWAT Studio and some great talent came, and we have still them sitting in the YouTubes and so on. We had launched IQWAT Jantri, which had become part of a lot of lives here, and their mothers and their, nannies and so on. And we also did IQWAT Cultural Festival and so on. That's the journey so far. We are on the path to launching IQWAT 2.0. It is a mobile app which will be supported also by offline activities. Work on that is already over, and you will get a trailer of that 2-3 times during the day of what it is trying to achieve. Based on all the feedback we got in the past on the issues on matrimony, pujas, networking, all those things, we will try to incorporate all of solutions to all those so-called problems and so on. KP Business Conclave, is already happening, and I'll talk about it quickly, in a couple of moments. Kashmiri Pandit language models, KP mentoring systems, pujas, integral part of what we do, working with associations, because again, associations doing great job, Noida Association, Faridabad, Bombay, Bangalore, there is some politics on, we know that, but we all need to work together, and we will hopefully be able to kind of integrate and bring all of them together. So IQWAT together forever. That was my brief submission to the audience, to our august audience today. The group realized that whatever we do, however, intense we may feel about the topic, sometimes we get too emotional. People like me, the oldies, even the youngsters, surprisingly, they get Sandeep, Aditya, they get emotional about the topic. Kuch karna hai, mar mitne wala, that sarhad pe kya karke mar mitenge and so on, that kind of enthusiasm. We realize that unless we don't mobilize the 30, 35-year-old, so what makes the 30, 35-year-old who is the future of the Kashmiri Pandit community? What will make them tick? We realized that, and honestly, this was a bit of a revelation, that having done a bit of a rehab of themselves, the conversations and the narratives were changing towards even they talking about Ishkam sach, son wajood kya sach ho. Seriously. And I heard Rakesh ji, who comes all the way from America, saying that the youth in America are also talking the same language. The narratives are changing. Because all of them are kind of found their jobs, they're doing well, these conversations are happening. So how do we excite them? And one of the first things which the group said was, एक business conclave करते हैं, where we use the route of getting people networked at a country, at a global, at a whatever level. Once they start networking, will they also realize and meet people of like-minded people all over the world? But as importantly, there may be some opportunities which may arise out of it. There could be mentoring opportunities, there could be job opportunities, there could be funding opportunities, there could be a lot of opportunities. And when the youth says that there is some gains coming to them from being a part of the community, will so-called intangibles, these are a bit more tangible, the intangible ideas will also start, seeping into the mainstream, into the narratives. How can we get the community back on track? What is the larger purpose of the community? Like, I don't want to bore you today with that, I have some views on that, but clearly for the community to find a larger purpose, it may sound like an esoteric thing, but communities have found. The Jews found something, the Sardars were known for their valor, subliminally, they have seeped into being synonymous with service, seva. They were always known that a Sardar can handle 1.25 lakh people or something like that. But suddenly they have become, and world over, why can't Kashmiri Pandits also repurpose themselves and find that purpose? And this is this group which will do it. So this conclave is happening today. A lot of hard work has gone into it. Aditi is our chief convener. And he's even my boss, as far as this event is concerned. And he drives us, honestly. And look, you need to give them a big round of applause. They will all come up on stage later. But a lot of hard work has gone in. With those hopefully few words, I've overshot my time by some 3, 4, 5 minutes. Namaskar, Sairni. Thanks for coming here from the bottom of my heart. I wish good luck to everybody.